In information security, we tend to think digitally. How do I protect the systems? What can I do at the software layer? How might a firewall protect my environment? But what about the physical environment? What's to stop someone from using one of the social engineering techniques we looked at earlier, for example, tailgating, and simply walking into a facility? So for example, are there turnstiles that ensure that only authorized people can gain physical access? And not only just authorized people, but authorized people one at a time. So systems like you see here are specifically designed to stop tailgaters from following someone through. Now, when I was talking about tailgating, I also explained that it's a very natural social behavior to try and hold the door open for the next person. A solution like this avoids that uncomfortable scenario where the legitimate person feels guilty for not exercising some basic social etiquette, as we would normally think of it, and helping the other person through. These systems are explicitly designed so only one person can go through at a time. And you often see a solution like this in public transport locations as well, where people need to have a ticket. But just as they work well there, I've also seen many systems like this at the likes of, say, banks and financial institutions. Unless you can present an identity card, you're not going to get through. Which brings me to the next point of physical security. Identity cards. Having a valid ID raises the bar for what's required for an adversary to infiltrate an otherwise secure premise and then potentially gain access to sensitive material once they're there. Now, of course, identity cards can also be faked, but once they're combined with other electronic controls, such as we just saw with turnstiles, it makes it significantly harder for the adversary to gain access. The other thing that can be done from a physical security perspective is to add some independent verification to these identity cards. So for example, something like this. On-site security personnel can be a significant deterrent for unauthorized adversaries accessing a corporate environment. Now, of course, they too are subject to all the sorts of social engineering techniques that we've seen throughout this course, so by no means is that an infallible solution. But when physical security personnel are well trained, they act as not only a deterrent, but also as a role that, by its very design, is empowered to do things like check identity cards. And certainly in environments where security personnel like this become ingrained, they end up becoming familiar with the people in the organization. And indeed, they can become very good at identifying anomalous patterns. Hey, we haven't seen this person before. Should they actually be here? As much as humans are at risk of threats such as social engineering, they also have the unique ability to exercise judgment in a way that computers simply can't do. Now, one more thing on physical security, and that is how the data center is secured. Now, this is a really important point because inevitably for an adversary interested in obtaining information about an organization, the data center poses a very attractive target. Many times before, we've seen examples of server racks which are openly accessible. Either they're in a room that anyone on site can access, or they might be locked at the front, whilst the back is wide open to anyone who has access. Clearly, the desirable state is a securely locked data center that only authorized personnel have access to. And in a case like this, you'd also want to see some robust logging around who has come and gone from the data center as well. And again, this comes back to the point of access controls on doors and ensuring that we don't have any cases of activities such as tailgating. All of this is obviously quite different to the security that we normally think of as technology professionals. But it's an important point to make here because the lack of these controls can make life significantly easier on the social engineer. Let's now move on, and we're going to go back to looking at digital controls, and in particular, separation of duties and the principle of least privilege.